Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and for this special feature review, or bonus feature review, I guess whichever term you want to use, Star Trek Beyond. This was definitely not my favorite movie of the summer, but it also definitely was not the worst movie of the summer. If you want to check out my review on this, you can click the link, check out the review, and see my thoughts on Star Trek Beyond. This is just my thoughts on the Blu-ray that I just got my hands on, more specifically, these special features here that we're going to go over on the back. The back doesn't list all the special features on there, but we'll just go ahead and dive right in. So first, the deleted scenes. It was the dumbest feature they had on this special features thing. I don't know what else to say. There were only 2 deleted scenes on here, and there was nothing spectacular or amazing or anything that made me go, what? Why did you cut that? No, it was just 2 scenes that I understand exactly why they cut, and only 2. And that was it. So, I don't know. To me, there was no point in having a deleted scenes thing if you're just going to put 2 non-spectacular scenes in there. Beyond the Darkness Story Origins. This one was okay. Really what it was mostly about was, you know, they interviewed producer J.J. Abrams, and he talked about handing the reins over to Justin Lin, who directed this, and him telling Justin to be bold and to, you know, make it his own and things like that, which I think Justin definitely did. It did not feel like the other 2 movies. It didn't have that J.J. Abrams flair. Literally, it did not have that J.J. Abrams lens flair that is in every 5 seconds of every shot. They also talked about Simon Pegg writing and things like that, because, you know, he's just a huge Trekkie, so it was kind of interesting to hear some of his thoughts and some of his choices, but this was not a very long feature, so they didn't really go in depth about any of that. They just kind of scratched the surface of it and talked about it a little bit. It was interesting enough, but it wasn't, like, beyond amazing. Enterprise Takedown, destroying an icon. They were talking an awful lot in this special feature about the big deal it was that as you go through all the Star Trek series and movies, the Enterprise is a character. And so what they did was they killed a main character, and what they did was they deconstructed Starfleet. They deconstructed the Federation by deconstructing the ship and making these characters pair off and things like that, and they really got into all this stuff. And I get that, and they definitely destroyed the Enterprise different in this movie than in other movies. Yet, I'm watching this, and I cannot help but think, you just destroyed the Enterprise in the last movie. Granted, you didn't totally destroy it, but you did fairly destroy it. And it's a fairly common plot, I think, in a lot of Star Trek things. I mean, come on, the first Star Trek Next Generation movie, Star Trek Generations, that was like the culmination of the movie. But it was interesting to hear their thoughts on what it meant to them in this particular movie to destroy the Enterprise. Trekking in the desert on location in Dubai. I didn't know that this movie was filmed in Dubai, so it was kind of interesting to talk about that. And I liked what the director Justin Lin was saying, that, you know, he wanted something tactile, something real, and not just shot on a CGI set. So when you're watching the planet Yorktown, wait, that's not a planet, it's a big ball made by humans in space. Point is, when you're looking at that and you're looking at that environment, like, a lot of that's real. A lot of that was the real buildings in Dubai. And it was really interesting to, you know, hear that. I mean, I was watching the movie, and for sure, I still feel like there's tons of CGI in all of the scenes. But then when you realize that the base of it is, like, real, that these buildings in Dubai are artistic, and they do look like they could be 400 years in the future and things like that, it was kind of interesting to get that piece of information. Because now, when I go through and watch this movie again, I think I'm going to look at that differently, knowing that they really did shoot this on location, that even though there's tons of CGI added around it and things like that, it's not shot on a green screen set. This is like a real city. This stuff actually exists, and we could go somewhere in the world and see that. So I thought that was kind of cool. To live long and prosper, 50 years of Star Trek. It was just basically going over the fact that Star Trek has been here for 50 years, and, you know, a couple little montages of different snippets from the original Star Trek series, Star Trek The Next Generation, and then this present series of movies. And it was kind of cool to get that montage. But for me, the best part of that feature was listening to the actors and the directors and the people involved and who got to be a part of this universe, talking about their thoughts on why Star Trek has lasted 50 years. I mean, it's still a very cultural thing right now. I mean, they're still making Star Trek movies. People are still going to the theater to see Star Trek movies. And so, I don't know, it's just kind of interesting to hear their thoughts on why they think it's lasting for 50 years. And the one thought that stood out to me was the idea that what Star Trek represents is a positive picture of humanity's future. I mean, we get all kinds of post-apocalyptic movies like Resident Evil, Mad Max, and all these things, and, you know, zombies and desert Earth, or, you know, crazy things like that where the selfishness and stupidity of mankind destroys our future. It is a good breath of fresh air that this is a picture of hope, of us getting over our issues and our stupidity and working together for a brighter future. So I think I kind of agree with that. And then for Leonard and Anton, that one is very self-explanatory. It's a tribute to Leonard Nimoy and Anton, and you know, both very talented actors, and they did a really good job with the tribute of just showing us these guys on set, showing us what they've contributed, and, you know, feeling the impact of the loss of both. And so it was a really nice, heartwarming tribute to both of these actors. And then it says, and more. I don't know what to say about the more. I did go through and watch all of these special features. They weren't super spectacular. One of the other ones that stood out to me was they were talking about, since it is the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, when they go to Yorktown, it's like 50 alien races were there. And so, you know, they had to do all this makeup and prosthetics and masks for 50 species of aliens, which means when you're making multiple copies of one species, that's hundreds of masks and prosthetics, and because they didn't go the CGI route, which is actually really cool that they went that other route of doing really cool puppetry, really cool makeup, really cool, you know, all that stuff. So that was kind of really cool to get, and to just hear how much work went into this movie and all these little details. So when you watch that scene when they first go into Yorktown, I mean, you know, how long is that? 2 minutes? But how much work went into that 2 minutes? And then in all the different aliens that are on the Enterprise, that are on Krall's planet and things like that, it's really cool to know how much work goes into that. And again, all these features are really short. None of them get super in depth. And a lot of these features, I don't know, I was kind of zoning in and out. Like, they weren't spectacular. They didn't capture my imagination as an actor who loves to sit there and watch special features and see behind the scenes things. There was interesting things, to be sure, that caught my attention, but overall, it's not like the best special features I've seen, so I guess I'd give these special features a C+. But the movie's pretty fun. Did you get a hold of Star Trek Beyond? If so, what did you think of the special features? Make sure to let me know in the comments. While you're there, hit that subscribe button, become a Durbanian, and be on top of all the new videos and things like that coming out here. I'm Durbin. Thank you so much for checking out Durbania.